The Washington Commanders beat the Cleveland Browns 17-15 in the first preseason game of 2023. It's a reckoning here on Ref the District. Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District. It's the day after reckoning, where we break down the game before for the Washington Commanders and give you our thoughts on it. Now, normally, Stoner, these are live and you, our viewer or listener, gets to interact with us. But this one is kind of going to be a mini session here. So it's just going to be Stoner and I. But we would love to hear from you in the comment section if you're on YouTube, or go ahead and hit us up on one of our audio platforms or our social media platforms if you're listening to it on audio, because we are a part of the Believe Network. So we know that there's many places that you can get this content, and we do appreciate your support and listenership. Stoner, football is back.
Football is back. My goodness, it's been too long. When was the last game? Was that in early January, maybe somewhere around there?
Yeah, it would have been early January.
So 8+ months since the last time the Commanders were out on the field. It's good to have them back.
It really was. And they delayed our gratification here, as the game was delayed due to some weather. And there was weather throughout the night there. And there was some concern, right? Like a little bit of like, maybe you don't play your starters because of the delay and then the rain. You don't want them getting injured in a meaningless game. And might have seen a couple of injuries. We'll get to those in a little bit here. What were your overall thoughts of this first preseason game?
Gosh, you know what? The more I think about it, we get to sleep on it. We get to think about it, maybe watch a little bit more of the game on DVR or online or whatever. I was really pleased with the overall results. Win or loss doesn't really matter. It's nice to have a win, but I was pleased with execution. Of course, there were plenty of mistakes out there, but just from what you wanted to see when you went into the game, I was really happy with how kind of everything played out. And we'll get into more details, of course. But just overall, it felt like that this organization, everything is still in that honeymoon phase. Everything is still feeling good. You feel good about the team. You feel good about the organization. So I felt very pleased overall.
Yeah, and as I think we should be, the game doesn't really count in the win-loss column, but it was nice to get that one, especially with, the new ownership and everything, starting it off on the right foot. And there's plenty to talk about in specifics. And the first one, of course, we don't want to bury the lead here. It's going to be Sam Howell. Every snap he was under. He only played a little bit into the second quarter.
Right.
Did have a rough go of it with a dropped pass by Bates, was wiped out by a holding call anyways. Does get a great pass off to Jahan Dotson, which ends up scoring a touchdown. What did you make of Sam Howell in his debut for this season?
Damn, Nathan. I was super impressed with everything about Howell. He stood tall in the pocket. He delivered when he had to, and you'll see even on this play right here, when he had to scramble and he rolled out, that's where his legs come into play. He doesn't have to be a great runner. He has to be a guy who's elusive. And then that play right there, he got away from the pressure and rolled out to his left and then put a move on the guy at the end. And that's really important. So I liked everything that he did. He threw the ball away when he had to. He went secondary read, tertiary read. He did everything that you would hope your quarterback will do in the games. He showed a strong arm. He showed some touch on a couple of plays. Man, he was really good. What were his stats? Do you even know what his stats were? He was like 7 of 10.
I just had him up actually. So it
was 7 of 10, 129, maybe something like that.
You would ask me while we're recording, just.
But yeah, he was really good.
77 yards, 9 for 12, 1 touchdown with 119 passer rating.
Okay, no, that's where I got the 129 from. Sorry, so it was a 119 passer rating. Yeah, but regardless of his stats, which were actually really good, he just looked like he belonged. And he took a pretty big hit on that sack right there, which which was fine. He didn't have any issues with it because he's a tough kid. He's not brittle. It's not like when some quarterbacks in the past, you were like, oh my gosh, is he okay after every hit? But I thought he looked really, really good.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of promise there. I think you can see where, he's not necessarily going to be, Patrick Mahomes, people, but I do think we have a solid in this. Let's not overreact too much, right? This is
Right.
one preseason game, but I
Right.
do think that he's showing why there is promise for him being QB1. And we tweeted this out, right? Like anybody who was questioning who was going to be QB1 should have no questions
No more
now. It's
questions.
going to be Sam Howell, and he showed why. A lot of poise, great arm strength, some good throws in there. You do
Mhm.
want some of the stuff to be cleaned up, but that's why it's preseason, and you're going to see this. The more reps he gets, the better his decision making is going to come there. Now,
Right.
Stoner, you put me on the spot trying to remember stats and everything. I'm going to put you on the spot with
Okay.
the Sam Howell tracker.
Okay.
Do you have it ready? Are you gonna show us your Sam Howell tracker?
I can show the Sam Howell tracker. Absolutely. So this is where we're at because I had to fix it up because of it was taking up too much space. And so he was at 8-3. 3 is not right. It's 8-5. Why do I only have 3 on there? But it's 8-5. So I'll fix that. And then I had August 10th, but they didn't even practice on August 10th. So not 100% ready there, Nathan, but pretty darn close to it.
It's just
But
payback again for catching me off guard with the stats, not having those on top of my head.
August 11th, which was yesterday, which was the game yesterday, he was fantastic. I'd give him an A+ on that game. I got to find my green. Here's my green. I give him an A+ for yesterday. I mean, I'm being a little bit, hyperbolic. He wasn't an A+, but he was really good. I mean, I'd probably give him an A for yesterday's performance. Sure. I was really, really impressed with him.
Sam Howell getting another green check mark on the Sam Howell checker. I have to agree. I would probably put him at about a B+. Room to grow, right?
Where did he go wrong? Where was his limitations yesterday?
So he missed B-Rob out in the flat when he took the sack. That would be one thing that could be cleaned up. The run, while he did a good job picking up the first down, I think that he hesitated too much and he could have let that ball go. That's me nitpicking here.
Sure.
But there's room to grow for our young QB, and that I'm very, very much happy with where he is right now.
That fourth down play that they had when they decided to go for it after he missed the dump off on third down on the blitz, and maybe it was tipped at the line. But that fourth down play, when he got out of the pocket, he went first read. He went second read. Neither one was there. He was still in the pocket. And then he was like, all right, I got to get out of this pocket. And he got out of the pocket rolling right, and he sees Cole Turner wide open, doesn't hesitate, zips it right in there with a perfect pass. That's the kind of things that we're hoping for with this young quarterback.
All right. Well, the other side of the ball was pretty interesting. Kind of bend, don't break, Stoner. And that first drive, a little worrisome that Cleveland was able to kind of run down the field, but they made a very impressive goal line stand. What did you make of the first team defense here?
Yeah, it was a bend, but don't break. And when they had to, as we're seeing here in these clips, on that second down, on the third down, when Forbes, the smallest guy out there, Forbes jumped in there and teamed up with Cam Curl to stop the run. And we're talking about inside the 1 yard line. And then on the fourth down, when they decided to go for it, Montez Sweat, nobody blocked him. I mean, how dumb is Cleveland to not block one of the best players on defense? And he comes around and runs the guy down very easily on fourth down to turn the ball over. So defensively, I thought they were really good. And then the rest of the game, not just the first team defense, but the rest of the game, those DBs were flying around. The second teamers, the Christian Holmes, the Percy Butlers, even Wild Goose was out there making a couple of plays. So I was really Danny Johnson. We can't forget him. He was making a lot of good plays out there. So defensively, I thought they were really, really good as well. They gave up a later touchdown towards at the end of the fourth quarter when Cleveland was trying to tie it up, but they stopped them on the 2-point conversion. And so defensively, I thought they were really good. I mean, they were just really good all the way around. Special teams was good. They did everything they were supposed to do. I mean, Dax Milne stepped out on one of those punt returns. That was kind of, he shouldn't be doing that. But Kazmir Allen flashed a little bit on the punt returns. I mean, you look at it and you can say that was almost, again, regardless of the score, really, that was almost exactly what you wanted to see from this team.
Yeah.
Going into preseason
game one. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we're talking again about 8 months in between games here. You got to knock off the cobwebs. You want to see something from your young guys. You want to see just kind of the communication. And it felt like all of that was good. Now, there are some things you don't want to see, Stoner, and those are injuries. Darian Mathis limping off the field. And then there was Chase Young dealing with a stinger as he was going to go tackle Deshaun Watson. Just absolutely blows by the offensive tackle for Cleveland.
Yep.
But as he gets to Deshaun Watson, you kind of see his arms kind of go limp here. Not a good scene for the fourth-year pro who, is in a year where he needs to do well to get paid.
Yeah, first of all, the tackle for Cleveland, the left tackle, is no slouch. He's their first stringer. He's an Alabama kid. Wills, I believe, is that who that is. And he abused him on that play. He showed explosion. He showed great use of the hands to get the tackle's hands off of him, and then dipped below him a little bit, and then hit, like you said, and then hit Watson, who's a bigger kid. It's not like Deshaun Watson is a small quarterback. He's a big quarterback.
6'3", 200-something pounds.
Yeah, and so that probably contributed to him not being able to wrap him up. But, yeah, you can see him when he hits him. You can see his arms just kind of drop. It wasn't he was trying to hit him that way. He's like this, trying to hit him, and then all of a sudden his arms just drop as soon as he hits him, and that's where he got the little stinger. But, yeah, first of all, Chase Young looked great on that play. And then second of all, you got to, be a little bit concerned about the stinger, but he didn't look like he was having any issues on the sidelines afterwards. It's not like he had to go inside and have an x-ray or anything.
Yeah. Do you shut him down for the rest of the preseason?
Wow, man, those are such tough decisions that get coaches fired, whenever they do it wrong. Either way, I mean, I don't because, again, I'm old school kind of thinker in that they need as much reps as they can possibly get. So I don't, but if they did shut him down, I wouldn't be surprised.
All right. Well, we'll see how that works out. I would shut him down, keep him healthy for the season. Don't, you can see him in practice, but he doesn't need to play any more preseason games. You saw the explosiveness was back. You see the aggression is back. That's what you wanted to see. Now let him stay healthy for the regular season.
And you know what he didn't do, Nathan? He didn't just do a bull rush.
Nope.
He did something different. He was getting the hands off of him. You didn't see a whole lot of that in the last few years.
Yeah. So EP this morning, she and I were talking about the game, and she was just like, nobody's talking about Jacoby Brissett. So let's fix that for EP here, as he had himself a pretty good game, including this touchdown run that we are showing on the screen for our viewers. What did you make of Jacoby's play? Because it's historically speaking, you're going to see QB2 at some point this season.
Right. I think you saw exactly what you want to see from QB2. He was competent. He did have that one pick, but that was he was under pressure and he kind of threw off his back foot. It was towards the end of the half, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't that big of a deal. But he did exactly what you'd hope that he would do. Again, he went in there and he ran the offense. He made some nice plays. He didn't throw up all over himself. And you look at him and you say, you know what? If anything happens with QB1, QB2 is going to be somebody that you're going to at least – he doesn't have a ceiling. I mean, he's at his ceiling, right? He doesn't have anywhere else to go upwards. But you just know you can at least get by.
You would expect him to be.
Yeah, absolutely. But, yeah, he looked – I thought he looked pretty good. But you can definitely see a difference, and I saw it in camp earlier this week in person. you just see a difference between how the ball comes out of their hands. And Jacoby Brissett is no slouch throwing the ball.
Mhm.
He can zing it, but I mean, Howell's on a different level.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that we should be pretty happy with the QB room, which is not something Washington fans
Hmm.
could say for years, right?
Hmm.
Like we fooled ourselves into thinking that we'd have a good QB room when we really just it would all fall apart. So hopefully, fingers crossed, things stay good for them. You mentioned some of those young DBs, Stoner,
Yep.
and one of those was somebody we were really excited about last year, but there's
Mm.
just kind of a log jam, especially with Defoe just showing up and being really good last year. But
Yep.
Percy Butler did some good things here, including this interception that he happened to get, overthrown ball, and then just shows this burst of speed
Right.
that was just outstanding. You
Where did
know,
that speed come from?
no lack of decision making, just immediately catches this ball and turns on the Jets.
Hmm.
It was good. Good block there as well. What did you make
Yep.
of some of these younger guys? You mentioned the Danny Johnsons, but what about Percy Butler? A lot of talk about Quan Martin
Mm.
out there as well. What did you make of some of the younger guys' play?
Yeah, Percy Butler, I thought really popped on screen on a couple of different plays, so that was really good. But listen, I watched a lot of Quan Martin, and he did not look like he knew where he was supposed to be in a lot of plays. He was out of position. He had those plays that the captains or the guys on the sideline have to come and talk to him about where he should have been, and he's always doing the shoot, I was supposed to be here or there. He was out of position quite a bit.
Mhm.
So, but it's his first game, understandable. So I have to give him a little bit lower grade. Not happy with what Quan Martin was doing, but Percy
I,
Butler was really good.
I think there's a little bit of not a little bit. There's a lot of pressure on Quan Martin.
Oh yeah.
He was the second cornerback taken for Washington in this
Hmm.
draft, right? So they went cornerback, and a lot of people didn't expect that. I mean, the thing with Quan Martin is he does have some versatility, and the coaches are using him that way. So he's
Yeah.
having to learn safety. He's having to learn slot. He's having to learn to line
Sure.
up all over. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on him. And I think that the development for Quan Martin's going to be a little bit slower than Forbes, who is, has a lot of pressure himself, but he has to learn really just the one position, right?
Yeah. I think
Quan
that's
Martin's
fair.
going to be lined up all over the place. And I think that you're going to see the development of him because I do think that the young kid can play, the young man can play. So
Oh, absolutely.
we'll start to see those flashes of why they've drafted him, but there's going to be some frustrations from fans as he lines up out of place or
Hmm.
he lets up a big play because maybe he was out of position. It kind of reminds me of Jamin Davis from a few years back where we thought, athletically, this guy was good. There's a lot of potential there, but then he just wasn't really
Mm.
getting it on the field. So hopefully, you know, the coaches will work with him, maybe give him something to specialize in, and then also use him somewhere else rather than having him be this, utility knife, because that's a lot
Mm.
for going from college to the NFL.
Yeah.
So,
And to be fair, Nathan, all reports have been these last couple weeks in training camp that he has been playing very well. And
mm,
so this is probably just part of that process getting to where he needs to be, that there are going to be bumps in the road. And it's good that it took place in a preseason game.
absolutely. Other good things off the field with this, the kind
Hmm.
of on the field a little bit too, was we've had this change of ownership and it's just been a breath of fresh air. Let's show this interview with JP Finley after the game, which mirrors the
Watching
one that
your
happened
team
in
out
the
there.
game.
First of all, it's the city's team. It's not my team, but it was amazing. I'm so happy to be here and be part of it. And a win's a win, preseason or not. Everyone's healthy, and let's go.
How
let's
cool?
go with it.
How cool was it you had your son with you?
Oh man, it's family is everything to me, and having him there and being able to like experience the moment with him was amazing. And we got the ball. I was lucky enough that Coach Rivera gave me the ball. It's my first game as an owner, so I'll put that under glass, and it's a good omen for where we're heading.
Well, that's Josh Harris, our owner. He was at the game and he wasn't in a suite. It's raining, pouring down, raining, Stoner, and he is in the stands right behind the players.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable. It was actually, I believe Mark Ein, part of the ownership group, was also there, who was in a suite and ended up coming down to sit down next to Josh Harris and his son as they enjoyed their first game as owners of this team.
I don't know what to do, Nathan. There's too much good things happening right now. I'm a little bit concerned because everything, again, regardless of the score, just kind of everything, the momentum is still building towards successful season and successful organization off the field as well. I'm concerned. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop because I'm not used to this. I don't even know what to do.
No ownership group is going to be perfect, but it is a breath of fresh air. I loved the fact that he was down in the lower bowl, and especially in the weather that they were having there in Cleveland. I loved his statement. Again, he mirrored this from, he was talking with Logan Paulson during the game, where he was just like, what's it like to see your team? He's like, no, this isn't my team. This is the city's team.
I mean,
that's awesome. That's amazing. I love hearing that. I hopefully he continues to walk the walk. Because sometimes you get the talk of that.
Right.
But he seems to be walking the walk right now, and I love to see it. He mentioned in here, Stoner, that he got the game ball, and we have that clip here from the Commanders as well.
Start. Preseason game, but nonetheless, a win is a win. To our new owner, Mr. Harris.
I'm proud to be part of this family, man. Thank you for delivering the win. Love you guys.
Yes. Let's get a one for real, too. So here we go. Team on three. 1, 2, 3.
Love to see it. And the players are feeding off of this energy too. That's what's amazing here is they can feel the change and the positive vibe. And you love hearing them call for him to do a speech and everything. It was just good vibes all the way around.
And you know what he didn't do? He didn't make that all about him when he had a chance to be there and kind of put the spotlight on him. He's doing that a lot in the interview that we saw or whatever. It's not about him. And he just says, I appreciate it. Let's keep this going. And he didn't say, hey, I'm trying to help you guys and I'm going to put some money into the facilities and I'm going to, he was just like, I appreciate this, guys. Let's keep doing this.
Kept it short, kept it on the players who are doing the thing, the organization itself.
Cool.
Yeah, good stuff there. Now, that was Ron Rivera's game ball, and I don't know whether or not you agree with giving it to Josh Harris. I think it was a nice, show of faith, probably a very smart move by Ron Rivera.
Right, that helps.
But let's get to our own version of the game ball, which is our go-goes and no-goes.
Yeah.
First up here are the go-go, Stoner. Give me your go-go for this game.
And I only get one, right?
I only get the one.
I only get one. So if I say, okay, it's not going to be Jahan Dotson, that doesn't count, right?
That doesn't
okay.
count.
All right. So, all right. So I know I'm cheating a little bit there. I mean, it's pretty obvious. No, I'm not going to do the obvious. I'm not going to do the obvious of Sam Howell. Okay. So that's not my go-go either. I went and rewatched every snap, the 3 offensive series, and the battle for the left guard position is over.
It's over.
Chris Paul has solidified himself as the left guard. I watched him and we put a little clip out there on X. Oh, man, I hate calling it that. But we put it out there of just a few of his plays. But if you watch every single play, he didn't have a bad rep. On 21 snaps, he did not have a bad one. And we put out just a few of the good ones, but he was stoning blitzers in their, right there in that spot where they hit him. He was pulling on run plays. He was really good on pass, but he was just fantastic. So my go-go is going to be Chris Paul, left guard, 1, starting now.
Yeah, but he definitely impressed both of us. Loved watching kind of those clips that we had of his play. I am going to go with the obvious. I'm sure a lot of our people in the comment section are going to hit this one as well, but Sam Howell is going to be my go-go. He had a lot of pressure coming into this game. I mean, he's the QB battle we all know has been a farce, but there's a lot of faith in him. There's been a lot of people talking him up. You have national media starting to talk about the positive things that they can potentially see in Sam Howell. And he didn't just not throw up all over himself, as you like to say. He actually performed very well. He did not perform like a 5th round pick a year ago. He performed like he knows what he's doing. You see some of those poise that people have talked about. He's going to be my go-go. I'm very interested, though, in the comment section. If you have anybody else, or if you have a go-go that you'd like to, tweet at us on Twitter, make sure you do that, because we appreciate that interaction, knowing who you pick for your go-go's. Now, no-go Stoner. I'm going to go first here, and I'm going to steal probably the most obvious, and that's going to be Andrew Wiley out at right tackle. I know that we also kind of looked at this, and he had 3 bad snaps out of 21.
Correct.
But they were bad snaps.
They were.
And this is not a second-year pro like we have in Chris Paul. This is somebody who, came here in free agency, was paid good money to be the right tackle.
Yep.
And it's just, this needs to get cleaned up. The offensive line was my biggest concern going into this game and into the season. They've not done enough to alleviate that.
Right.
I do think that we will be able to overcome it at times, but there's definitely times here where, like Andrew Wiley presented it, it's just going to be a mess.
Yeah, and there were a lot of plays in those 21 pass plays where it didn't matter what the offensive line was doing, because they were quick plays, they were quick throws, and that's what they have to do in order to overcome the weaknesses of the Wiley. Of the Wileys of the world. So yeah, I would agree with you that that's a no-go.
Yep. Gave up a safety. Yeah, it's rough. Go ahead. Who's your no-go?
It's not my no-go. And my no-go is also not Jamin Davis, who I'm not even sure he's still on this team. I haven't seen him all season in practice in this game. I don't know what's going on there. Again, we talked about it when I was at practice, and when they were doing their 5-1-5. And the middle linebacker was Cody Barton, not Jamin Davis.
We were watching most of the first quarter together, and we noticed Cody Barton quite a bit. He was all over the place. He was doing things. Jamin Davis was out there too, because they were running the 4-2-5 quite extensively that first drive. So he was out there, but he was late, or you just never noticed that he was there, and it was kind of like you're supposed to be a kind of a thumper, and that's not quite happening.
Yeah, he's in year 3 now, right? He's supposed to be. He's a first rounder. He's supposed to be showing up. So, and he's not. So, but he's not my no-go. I'm just going to tell you, he's not my no-go.
Stoner cheating on the system here.
I like cheating the system. My no-go, actually, and I'm not going to call out any specific names. The broadcast last night was a disaster. Okay.
It was rough. A lot of misnames. And I mean, I mentioned about the safety from Wiley. It was actually by the broadcast team was credited to Leno.
Right.
Even though the refs clearly said 71, the broadcast team was just like, okay, that's Charles Leno. And Leno's not a new guy. He's been wearing 72 for Washington for 3 years now. And to kind of get that wrong when you were the team's broadcast. This isn't a national broadcast unit. This isn't like ABC's like go-to team. This is the team. These are the people who are supposed to be most familiar with the players on the field.
Yeah, I felt like they didn't really know this team very well. It felt amateurish, and that was a little bit disappointing. And again, first preseason game. I think this announcing team, this is their first year doing this as well. So okay, first preseason game, give them time to
shake off the rust a little bit, get more familiar.
But it was throughout the game. It was not knowing who people are. Now, if that was me doing that, I'd be doing the same thing because I have trouble remembering names and numbers and all
But
that.
that's why you need a cheat sheet in front of you. That way you can
Yeah.
see it. But I mean, they were doing
That's true.
some egregious thing. I think they kept calling DTR Kellen Mond
Yep, they did
towards
that
the
a few
end,
times.
like a few times. It's just like, come on,
And it's-
you gotta get that right.
I mean, what I was trying to wonder, like, how were they broadcasting? Were they looking down and not at the game? Because you and I can see that that's not DTR or vice versa, just by looking with our own eyes. So I wonder what they were looking at.
Yeah, I if they were actually at the game, and I believe they might have been, or they were at the game, I did hear visibility was an issue. So
Okay.
you know, that might
And
play into it, but
And I'm not putting it just on the announcers either, because they have spotters. They have people who are telling in their ear who did what, who made the tackle, who caught the pass and everything. They're feeding them that information. So the
Sure.
spotters maybe were having trouble. But there was also a lot of mispronouncing names and taking Sam Howell and calling him Samuel back to pass. And I'm like, who's Samuel? So it was just a lot of that. And I'm
yeah.
doing it just kind of goofy. It's not like it ruined the game experience for
No.
me. I'm going to watch it if there are two dogs barking.
To be fair,
on the
Stoner,
broadcast.
it is a reason why people should be tuning into our live stream. So we
Absolutely.
normally do play-by-play and commentary here on our Ref the District YouTube and Twitch channels. So you'll want to make sure that you watch ours to get our accurate name calling and our wonderful play-by-play
That's
and,
right.
And commentary. Let's go to our last step here. No dollar today because we didn't do any dollar bets, which we normally would do for a game, but it is the preseason. We talked about this with Natalie Spalla on Friday. District Diamond. This is somebody in the preseason who kind of shows up and you start to kind of get excited about, even though this is probably somebody on the end of the roster.
Sure.
Maybe doesn't even get to the 53, but kind of wins over your heart. Who was your District Diamond for this game?
I think Casimir Allen, who was back there returning punts. I think he stood out really well, returning a couple of different punts. I'm not sure if he makes the team just because of a numbers issue.
Sure.
Because I don't know how much he can do as a wide receiver, and it's tough to keep a guy whose only job is returning punts. So he's tiny. He's like 5'8", 180 pounds, something like that. So I don't know if he makes it, but he popped a little bit returning punts. So I'll give him my District Diamond for at least this game.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think he did pretty well. I think he's kind of in competition with Pringle, who's another guy that you like.
I like Pringle.
Natalie told us to kind of watch out for KJ Henry, which I think he did okay. But the guy who kind of stood out to me was Andre Jones Jr., the 7th round pick from this year, also a defensive end, just kind of seemed to be out there and feasting. Now, again, you're talking these are, you know, the 4th stringers at this point.
Sure.
But if you're looking good against your competition, maybe you move up. And if you can look good against that competition, start solidifying yourself a place on this roster. This is a team that is going to need some defensive ends to step up because behind Montez Sweat and Chase Young, there's really no name that, you know, other teams are really looking at, right? You know, no offense to Casey Toohill or F.A. Obata, but these are guys that they're not game planning against. You kind of want to have a good rotation back there. So hopefully Andre Jones continues to show out as a District Diamond. Let us know in the comment section who you think was one of those end of the roster guys who earned your District Diamond Award here for our Ref the District Day After Reckoning. This has been the entire show for us. Let us know what you think. And until next time,
Chris Paul, left guard 1.
be a fan.
Here we go.